What's goody with y'all today? My name is RayGVT, and today I wanted to catch up with my favorite game in the world. So what's been happening? Oh boy. So I've been away from the game of Yu-Gi-Oh for about a month and a bit as of uploading this video, and during my time away, I haven't really been keeping up too much with the happenings of the game, with what's new and everything coming up. Around this time every year, I usually take an unannounced break away from the game. I'll detach a bit and just dive into doing other things. A lot of life stuff has been happening, but in the best way. I've really been growing and developing in other areas of my life, and it's been great. But as a result, my channels and content comes to a standstill, which is absolutely fair because why wouldn't it? This time around though, I've noticed a steady increase in activity around my channel. We've passed the big 500 and are well on our way to 600 and beyond, and I've been seeing everyone's comments on different videos of mine. I just want to say thank you guys. I see all the comments and I'm grateful to everyone that continues to tune into my stuff. Catch-up's done, let's get back to this. So in my time away from Yu-Gi-Oh, though I haven't been too tuned into the game, I have been seeing some of the major things that have been happening to the game and the things surrounding it. A large number of players have left the game, the meta is very unlikable right now, the topic of price support has come up a lot more, which is fair enough. I think it's still a very valid demand. KONAMI has straight up banned custom playmats and sleeves in both Europe and Oceania, and while I completely get the reason behind it, it does kind of put the game in a bad light. But again, I do get it. The game is still very expensive, with big meta staple cards being hard to pull and then costing a fortune just to be able to buy and play. And also, what's this about having rarity locked cards now? That's insane! It feels like I've returned to a city on fire. And while all of these different topics and stuff could be their own video on themselves, today I want to talk about the one that got to me the most. The end of Speed Duels. Man, this one kinda hit, but I feel like the signs were there. For the few of you that may not know, Speed Duels were an alternate format of Yu-Gi-Oh which simplified the game down to its core. You have a smaller deck size, no main phase 2, and you have less space to work with on your board, so you really have to make it count. For some, Speed Duels were the answer to modern Yu-Gi-Oh and its fast pace, long combos, and complicated plays, and they offered a more casual and chill way to play the game while still keeping all those things of what makes Yu-Gi-Oh fun. For myself, Speed Duels are what helped me ease my way back into the game back in 2020 with the Battle City box set, and I'd continue to purchase all the other Speed Duel sets that would follow afterwards, like the GX sets. I'd use the Speed Duel cards in my regular TCG decks because it helped a lot and they were cheaper. My locals also supported Speed Duels since release, and for a long time too, until about earlier this year due to high volume numbers from other TCG events. So Speed Duels had to be axed from the schedule, which is fair. But it wasn't until a few months ago that I really dove into this format. I started making decks again, and I even had plans to upload videos for a number of them after I came back. I've got one up for the Amazoness archetype, which is just a great fun archetype, and I had a few more in the works like Destiny Heroes and a few others. Speed Duels was a way for people to enjoy the game of Yu-Gi-Oh in a less intense way compared to the TCG's advanced format. But as I was gearing up to return back to the game after my break away, we were hit with an official announcement from KONAMI regarding Speed Duels. Okay, here it is. Announcement: with the release of Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG Speed Duel Battle City Finals, the initial Speed Duel saga we started a few years ago will be concluding. While we are including new content like Noah, Duke, and Tristan, the Speed Duel releases are starting to retread a lot of familiar ground, so the product line will be pausing for a rest. As always, Speed Duel cards are legal for TCG play, and there will be continued OP support for Speed Duels so that duelists can continue to play the format. And that's where the statement ends. Okay, so there's a bit here in this post. So before Speed Duel officially concludes, we are receiving a brand new set to close things out, which will be the Battle City Final set, a set based on the Battle City saga of the original anime. I've got some stuff to say on this specifically, but I'll save that for later. Secondly, I want to focus on the second part of the statement that says that the Speed Duel products are starting to retread a lot of familiar ground. One thing that I've always felt Speed Duels could have done better is trying to push through all the different animes and eras of Yu-Gi-Oh! To this day, over 50% of the Speed Duel product line is purely just based off the original Duel Monsters anime, and like the same part of the anime being Battle City. We've had multiple Speed Duel booster sets and special sets which are all based off the Battle City arc of the anime and covering different parts of the arc, and even this final set is a Battle City focused set again. When it comes to GX, I feel like there's still quite a bit to do, and unfortunately, my hopes of eventually stepping into the 5Ds era and beyond with Speed Duels are looking extremely low to almost impossible. I say almost because with how this statement is worded, it's saying that Speed Duels are done for now. So there's a little hope, I guess? We don't quite know just yet, and we'll have to wait and see as time goes by. But even with the heavy focus on just Duel Monsters, Speed Duels are still incredibly fun to play, especially, again, for those who want to enjoy the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! At its core while getting the nostalgic feeling of the anime from way back. It's incredibly fun. I do think the actual products and sets could have been handled a little bit better, but I am glad that the Speed Duel cards can be used in the TCG, just not vice versa, which made it just a little difficult to build some decks. The format and ban list was easier to regulate due to the smaller card pool, so again, I do get it. Now, one other thing that they were sure to make clear is that support for the Speed Duel format itself will not be ending, and OTS stores that already support and run tournaments for the format will still continue to do so. But due to no more releases from the Speed Duel product line, the format will effectively come to a standstill at some point because nothing new is coming out. But it is good to see that it's not being abandoned completely. There's so much to say about all of this, and it's some pretty sad news, especially for those who are really into this format. With one of the biggest criticisms of the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Being the lack of alternative formats that you can play that are officially supported by Konami themselves, Speed Duels felt like a good answer to that. Yeah, it's only one answer, but it was a damn good one in my opinion. I've been buying Speed Duel products since the start because it's really helped me to get back into the game properly and then transition to the full power TCG format because I can still use the same cards there. And while I do wish that I could have dived deeper much earlier, what with my focus mainly being on the advanced format side of things, I'm really glad that I got to experience the fun of old school Yu-Gi-Oh! Again. It sucks that my region missed out on the last set, which was the GX Midterm Destruction set, but honestly, I think I'll just import this like most other people are doing, even though it's going to cost me a bit more than usual. I'm currently debating on whether it's still worth uploading the few Speed Duel deck profile videos that I've been preparing, but I guess since the format is technically not dead, I may as well. I really don't know what to expect with Speed Duels now. I mean, they're technically not completely killing the format, and it sounds more like they're putting things on hold. So I guess only time will tell the fate of this format. There's a lot of reasons why Speed Duels are where they are, and why they might seem like they're dying. Lack of serious support and direction from Konami themselves, and lack of support from us as the players as well, are the two biggest things that immediately come to mind. I know for myself, although I got into Speed Duels fairly quickly by buying the products when I got back into the game in 2020, I only really bought it for the convenience of the cheaper reprints and for my collection. I wouldn't properly dive into playing Speed Duels until about a year and a half later, and even then, I was very on and off. Until literally this year at YCS Sydney, Australia, where I played a few Speed Duel matches and decided to commit afterwards. Half a year later, and well, here we are. Still though, I'm trying to stay optimistic because Konami hasn't been super clear on exactly what's next for Speed Duels, so I'm really trying to hold out hope. I do hate how it's all played out though. Having the previous and final Speed Duel product be region locked that I can't even get it where I am sucks, and having the only other properly supported official format be axed really sucks. Yeah, Time Wizard and stuff exists, but let's be so for real, this format hardly exists outside large events like YCS's. But that's just me though. At least we still have Duel Links to get our Speed Duel fix. But Duel Links has its own set of large issues. But it's great still. I haven't dove into Duel Links in a while, but from what I've been seeing, the game seems to be doing pretty well with content being regularly updated and added to the game. Though how the game handles its monetization model is still a bit of a worry for me. But we can talk about Duel Links another time. Like I said, I kind of hate that I didn't dive into Speed Duels much earlier, but for me, a lot of the sets started feeling very repetitive. And I guess that's what they're getting at in the statement as well. 70% of Speed Duel products is just duel monsters, 3 from the exact same arc, and it's like we haven't ever moved on since. The GX stuff is awesome, and I feel like they've done really well with it, but it's time to close it out and move on to something else like Synchros and the 5Ds era and beyond. Though I've been watching Yu-Gi-Oh since the original Duel Monsters series, I'm not as attached or nostalgic for it like most, because I feel like Konami has just hammered us with so much Duel Monsters pandering that it's actually made me turn away. Nothing wrong if you love it, but man, the love for Duel Monsters compared to all the other series is so clear. I get why they do it, it's a marketing thing, it's how they reel people into the game or back into the game, but fans of the other series do exist. Anyways, that's all my thoughts on the whole Speed Duel situation. What do you guys think? I'd love to know. I'm back to making content now and trying to figure out a good regular schedule, so I appreciate you guys bearing with me through this time. I'm gonna try and output more like before, so for now, I'm just trying to find my rhythm again. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video and discussion. I really enjoy making these types of discussion videos, so I'm gonna try and cover more pressing topics in the game, because there's a lot of them, like I mentioned in the beginning. But anyways guys, that's gonna do it for this video. I'll see you guys again soon in the Duel Arena.